Let's welcome in our panel to break this all down. Policy analyst and Project 21 member Donna Jackson's here. Also with us, David Harris Jr. You may have heard of the David Harris Jr. show before. He hosts it. Also with us from the Washington Free Beacon, Matthew Foley. Great to have you all here.
Thank you for having me.
It is our pleasure. Matthew, wanted to start with you on this one because you seem willing to do something that Jussie Smollett and a lot of the other media don't want to do. You want to take a mea culpa here.
So first off, I think we should be glad that the Hillary Clinton donor who attacked Jussie Smollett has been found guilty of attacking Jussie Smollett. He, of course, gave $2,000 to Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign. But look, it wasn't just Jesse Jackson and the Rainbow Coalition who fell for this obvious hate crime hoax. We reported a couple of months ago a non-exhaustive list of all of the Democrats and journalists, but I somewhat repeat myself here, who fell for this hoax. And it includes the President of the United States, the Vice President of the United States, most of Joe Biden's cabinet, most leading Democrats in Congress. So, I'm glad that we could finally get some justice for Jussie, 150-day prison sentence. And now I hope that we can heal and move on from this traumatic experience.
Traumatized. It was a powerful tour de force performance we saw yesterday in the courtroom. And I wish we could go back. I don't know if we can do this in the control room, but I think one of Jussie's defense attorneys that's sitting to his right, when Jussie was giving his speech there, you can see this guy, Donna, just rolling his eyes. That's the gentleman right there. He's got his watch on, sitting to Jussie's right. But when Jussie got up and gave that speech, it almost looked like the defense attorney was rolling his eyes. I think we'll see it here in a second. But I think we were all rolling our eyes, weren't we, Donna?
Yes, we were. And, I would like to say, I don't think that anybody failed for this. The most famous individuals we have in this country right now are not actors and entertainers. They're race hustlers. This is big business. It's an industry now. And so if you can say that there is some kind of racial injustice and you can prove a hoax, then you make big money behind it. And so that's what we saw. He does not care about any equity, any kind of injustices. He's not speaking out for Black Americans, especially not me. But he's sitting down there trying to be famous off of causing division and causing this narrative that everyone that disagrees with the liberal establishment is some kind of white supremacist.
And the way this Hollywood works nowadays, David, I'm not going to be surprised at all if there's a Jussie Smollett reality or docudrama series on Netflix or something like that, because normally this would be a career killer. You got busted lying. The judge called him out for his hypocrisy here. But not in today's culture.
No, probably not in today's culture. He very well could get himself his own Netflix show. But here's the thing. While I'm very thankful that he was caught and exposed as the absolute charlatan as he is, and that the judge absolutely excoriated him, and yes, I did see his defense attorney rolling his eyes when Jussie stood up to declare he's not suicidal. The issue is this man is clearly mentally unstable. When he's saying that he's not suicidal, I actually have a feeling, and I'm praying for the man. Nobody wants to wish ill will on him. But for a mentally unstable man to go through this type of massive national disgrace and be exposed for the fraud that he is, it would not shock me in the slightest if in the back of his mind he's thinking he may do something to himself in jail, or maybe even try to do something to himself in jail. So what hopefully Americans are understanding is there's a lot of mentally unstable people, and a lot of those mentally unstable people in this country are now in positions of power and leadership that were supporting this mentally unstable individual. So justice for Jussie, but hopefully he doesn't do anything and actually hurt himself.
Well, let's dig in on this a little bit, because that's an interesting thing. And, again, I'm sensitive to the mental health issue, and you might raise a good point there, David, on that. And this also brings into question, I think, Matthew, the support structure that Jussie Smollett has around him. And as you indicated in your article, there were so many people kind of cheering him on, holding him up as the victim du jour, whatever you want to call it. I know you're not a doctor, of course, but is he being misserved by those around him?
I don't know about that, but I think this shows that the demand for racism in America will never meet the supply. There's such a pressure from the left and from liberal journalists to make this claim that America is systemically racist. But how many times have we seen these national hate crimes that end up just being complete hoaxes? And that's a good thing that there is, this is, further proof this is not, of course, a systemically racist country. I lived in Chicago for almost 5 years, and there are no Trump supporters pouring bleach on black gay actors. It's actually Jussie Smollett trying to malign half of the country to boost his own profile. And I don't even think he's that good of an actor. This little show he did at the end of his sentencing, to me, justifies Empire kicking him off. And I think you're right that, he'll probably, get his own podcast or something like that. But a Netflix show seems a little bit out of the question, given that his acting is about as good as mine.
Well, again, I said a docudrama series, so, reality, whatever. And I said this too. We were talking about this with the producers this morning. I would have never heard of Jussie Smollett but for this incident. So maybe it's working out for him. And also, I just want to point out too, Mayor Lori Lightfoot, the Chicago mayor, she was one of the folks who was caught off guard and got duped by this whole thing now. But she has come out releasing a statement calling Smollett's actions malicious and wholly fabricated. At least she can admit this now, Donna.
Well, I don't think that she really is admitting it. She has to admit it because now the facts are out. That's just like masks were absolutely necessary and now they're not. It's a political year. They're worried about the elections. So when they supported him, I believe that nobody realistically believed that somebody was pouring bleach in 15 below degrees weather. They knew it was a hoax, but they needed that hoax in order to fabricate this environment that everybody is so racist. And we have to worry about anybody that disagrees with us as being a white supremacist.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had the same reaction. Oh, this is terrible. How could this happen? Then you read the story, you're like, wait a minute. At 1 o'clock in the morning in downtown Chicago, red hat wearing MAGA supporters in the freezing cold doesn't quite add up here. Like so many examples. You just got to take a step back, and everyone wants to be the first, David, on the scene with the latest, greatest story. But let's all just take a breath and try to contemplate and calculate what could possibly happen, what's plausible even. This didn't even sound plausible. But Jussie Smollett there, as you heard, he didn't do this, David.
No, he didn't do it. He's going to deny it until the cows come home, and they're not going to come home for him in any regard. In any possible positive regard for him in the near future. But hopefully this is a wake-up call to all of the black and white individuals, brown, whatever color you may be out there, that jumped on the bandwagon to go in tow with all the Democrats that were pushing this narrative when we're supposed to live in a country where we are innocent until proven guilty. And yet they demonize Trump supporters, me included, anybody that wore a red hat. They demonize Trump's entire base over this absolute fake hoax. So hopefully Americans, regardless of their color, will be reminded to back up, to wait, and let the facts come out before they pass judgment on anybody. That's what America should learn from this entire disaster.
Well, meanwhile, we pray that Jussie Smollett, and I mean this sincerely, that he's okay in prison. I don't know what he was talking about there, but we'll also talk about the meme team coming up. We got some great submissions from David and Matthew and Donna with our first meme team appearance this week. We'll see you guys in about an hour. Stay tuned for that, folks.